Hi, this is Rob Maloney with Future Home Loans, and this is our Tech Talk. Today, our mission brief, we are going to be discussing some of the previous topics that we've covered. We're going to talk about using chatbots for troubleshooting. And then Mitchell Morris is going to cover some custom GPTs. Who's felt like this? I cannot get AUS to score my file as an accept. I continue to get a refer. I've felt like this. Anybody who has been originating mortgages for any amount of time feels the exact same way. Well, this weekend, I worked with Trey Pennington, one of our mortgage brokers here at Future Home Loans, on a couple of pretty challenging scenarios where just that was happening. Trey was having difficulty getting an accept on a couple of different files. One of them had to do with whether or not we could use commission for a client whose commission was a little more interesting, as they say. And the other file was a gift of equity. Gift of equity transactions on the surface seem very simple. Once you start delving into them and actually building them out and getting the details specifically ironed out for each of our transactions, they become a little more complicated. Let's dive into how we researched each of these using ChatGPT. So starting off with the commission, first of all, Trey sent me a pretty good email. It outlined everything that was happening from his point of view that was specific to the commission history of this client and why our underwriter wasn't willing to accept it. To me, that was a good enough prompt. He provided some supporting information, removed all of the personal information from it. So we didn't have any PII, but we had very specific documents to help us with the scenario. And of course, we had the account executive's feedback. So what was the approach that we took? I took that email and the supporting documents and the AE's feedback, and I put it into ChatGPT. I was pretty amazed. So here's the first response that ChatGPT gave me. And this is essentially ChatGPT working through a flow, telling us, first of all, here's what you've got. It laid out the history of the earnings. And then it also laid out specifically for the commission, what is the supporting employment history that we need to look at in order to address this with the underwriter, to craft a plan that would get the underwriter comfortable with including the commission in our income. Essentially, the summary here is, yeah, you know what? You've got 2 years of commission history. It's just split across 3 employers and industries, which is essentially what the underwriter was having some concerns with. Next, ChatGPT broke down a path forward. Now, I wasn't expecting ChatGPT to give me this good of a run through the first time. I thought we were going to need to tweak some of the ways that we prompted it. I didn't have to do that. It took the email with the supporting documentation and it gave us a path forward. And you can see specifically here, it even tells us that while VA doesn't require same job for 2 years, it requires a 2-year receipt history. And so don't let that be a hard no for us. Well, okay, great, but we don't really have what we need now to go to the underwriter. Here's where it built the strategy. It talked to us about the 24-month history using verification of employments and W-2s. It built out a history of the commission income and the trends, showing that we had a very consistent, even an increasing trend of income. From there, it told us to submit the income breakdown and request an exception based on a 2-year history and role similarity. What I can tell you is behind the scenes, Trey was able to use this information, go back to the client. The client was able to construct a letter of explanation. We wrapped this all up into a really nice package, sent it back to the underwriter. They reviewed it, and their next review came back as an accept using the commission income. I was pretty blown away. So to just recap this, Trey's email was a prompt. We had supporting documentation. And then ChatGPT was smart enough to take that information, summarize it, and actually give us a plan forward. So let's move on to the next one, which was the gift of equity. There's Trey. He's giving his dog a high five. Congratulations, guys. So the gift of equity scenario, what was happening on this one? What was happening is our client was buying a home with FHA financing. They were trying to get a file approved at 96.5% LTV. Well, I sat back and looked at this loan as a refer and thought, what if our LTV was lower than 96.5%? We collaborated with ChatGPT, and its recommendation was to increase the purchase price to the appraised value, which was $200,000. We were able to then decrease the LTV and just increase the gift amount. Now, let's not get lost in the nuances maybe of the scenario itself, but let's definitely talk about the nuances of ChatGPT identifying an approach forward, which was to lower the LTV, increase the purchase price to accommodate the lower LTV. We ended up reducing it to 84%. And we got an approved eligible because our LTV made the file seem so much more attractive to the FHA scorecard. But in addition to that, ChatGPT built out what you see on the screen here, which is a gift of equity scenario calculator. This was built from the perspective of the buyer and the seller. I say that because going back to the seller and telling them we're going to increase the purchase price to $200,000 is maybe a little bit of a difficult or challenging scenario for a seller to really understand. This gave Trey the tools so that he could have a simple conversation with the client, use this to build a purchase and sale agreement. And he felt like he was really confident in going back to the client and delivering this information. And in fact, it was a very good conversation and a very easy conversation. And here's what the PASA started to look like. It's a purchase and sale agreement for a gift of equity transaction. This isn't all of the contract, but it gives you the gist of being able to use ChatGPT to troubleshoot, finding a solution, getting an accepted way, by the way, from our underwriter, and actually building a sales agreement for a buyer and a seller without a real estate agent involved. Lastly, what I want to talk about is using ChatGPT similarly just to troubleshoot or collaborate with it on scenarios in general. So what we build inside of Future Home Loans for our brokers is a spreadsheet like this. There's a long form and a short form. You can basically fill out as much or as little information on this as you want, as you feel is needed in order to effectively collaborate with one of your preferred bots. Use the prompt that you're a loan officer, loan originator working on this application. The details are below. Show me the red flags and then develop some loan structure recommendation. When I do this, I simply take a screenshot of the calculator. I put it into ChatGPT or Gemini, Perplexity, whatever have you, and I start collaborating with it. So now I've made this available to you. It's a very simple prompt, and you should be able to use this as a mortgage broker to troubleshoot with one of your preferred bots. All right, now I'm going to send it over to Mitchell Morse.
Hey, how's it going, guys? I'm Mitchell Morse, VP AI Innovation here at Future Home Loans. I'm going to go over building custom GPTs. What is a custom GPT, when you should use it, and how you should use it. So what is a custom GPT? It's basically a personalized version of ChatGPT where you can tweak and tailor it to your specific needs, your knowledge base, and however you need ChatGPT to respond to you. When you use it, anytime you're asking the same question multiple times. So if you're asking for loan scenario questions, you want to build a custom GPT so you don't have to provide all the context every single time of who you are, what context for the loan specifically. Are you working on an FHA loan, a conventional, things like that? ChatGPT will learn who you are with memory, but custom GPTs sets a structure for you to be able to build essentially this AI agent that has a specific purpose. So for this scenario, it would be diagnosing a loan scenario. Before you even get into building a custom GPT, there's some questions that you need to ask yourself. And I typically write it down. I'm the AI guy, but I'm also old school. I write everything down. I've gone through binders and binders of notebooks. You need to answer these questions before you start building, because you'll kind of get quote unquote lost in the sauce by trying to build different parts of it. And you really need to take a step back and build the structure first. So the most important questions are what's the purpose of it? Like, what are you trying to build? You're not building something just to build it. You want to fill some kind of gap in communication, or you want to make whatever process or workflow more efficient. So when you're talking to this custom GPT, it already knows what you're talking about. So number two, what context and information does the custom GPT need to accurately answer your question? You can't just assume because ChatGPT and these large language models are incredibly intelligent that they're know-it-alls or know-alls, and they have infinite access to all these resources. So you want to write down what information it needs from you and what context. So you're a mortgage broker, you're a real estate agent in Northeast Florida, because then you start to think about the state laws and things like that. Three, what kind of writing style? Do you want something that's going to hold your hand in its response, or do you want straight, direct, to the point, no fluff? The answer, you just want to be able to read bullet points, that kind of thing. And then four, who's going to be using this custom GPT? Is it for yourself for personal use and you can tailor it to that? Or do you want to build it for one of your partners to where they can provide it to their clients? And so when their clients are using it, it'll always recommend you as a mortgage broker or as a real estate agent, or even your insurance partner, things like that. Once you have those questions answered, that's when you can actually go to chat.openai.com/GPTs. And at the top right, you can click create. There's two different ways that you can create a custom GPT. You can do it the easy way, or you can do it the more advanced way. Each have their pros and cons. I recommend the easy way first, because it will build the advanced way for you, and then you can tweak it from there. So the easy way is just to have a chat conversation with ChatGPT about what kind of custom GPT you want to build. And you can upload your knowledge base from there. And it'll go back and forth. It'll create a logo with you, and you'll have a fully functioning custom GPT. And then the second way is going to be this configure tab. The create tab is essentially you're chatting with ChatGPT. It's going to fill in these boxes for you. I highlighted the most important boxes, which is the instructions and the knowledge base. So providing it the knowledge base of whatever guidelines, if it's a very specific loan program, things like that, or just guidelines in general. So it has that to kind of double check and ground itself in a knowledge base. And then the instructions are where the money's at. That's where you really can customize what this custom GPT does, from how it responds to questions it can answer, questions it'll say it cannot answer. You can really take this custom GPT and put it in a small box, and it fills a specific purpose. Last but not least, what we do here at Future Home Loans is we do mortgages, but we're in the AI industry because the AI industry is in every industry. And this is what I do every day. I build AI agents, custom GPTs. We have a few different AI agents within our FutureBot help desk already. This is what we do. So it's really the age of creativity on how creative you can get to build these things, and what's useful, what's efficient, and what is just kind of a waste of time to actually build. So with that said, if you have an idea for something we should build, or you want us to try to build something for you, or you just want to hop on a call and say, hey, I'm trying to build this. Where do I get started? Just reach out, let us know. I've been building these since they came out in November 2023 for personal use, for professional use. It could be anything from like a coach for yourself. So just reach out, give FutureBot a try at help@future.loans. Shoot an email for a loan scenario question like, hey, what are the gift requirements for having a gift on a loan? Within minutes, you'll get an email back, a nicely formatted email with an answer that's grounded in guidelines. And there you go. That's it.